Hey guys, welcome back to Aloe's Greenhouse. On this Friday, October 3rd, Taylor Swift will finally be releasing her next album, The Life of a Showgirl. I am personally so excited for this album, and I am anticipating to absolutely love it. And so I wanted to talk about it pre-release and share some thoughts and predictions and wishes that I have for this upcoming album, because I'm very excited. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I have a new upload schedule that I've committed to and I've decided to go with. I will be posting on the 8th, the 18th, and the 28th of every single month. And without further ado, let's get straight on into the video. Just as a disclaimer, I don't want to talk too much about Taylor Swift's personal life, but it's hard to not do that when these songs are so intertwined with her lived experiences. I don't want to speak on them in a parasocial way. I don't feel parasocially towards Taylor Swift. I'm also not saying that I'm right about any of these things either. I just want to talk about the album and get excited about it and share my personal analysis of what we know so far, or at least what I know so far. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and found out via watching the podcast what the album cover and all the track titles were, and listening to Taylor talk about herself, her life, the Eras Tour, and everything leading up to where she is now before she announced what the album was on the podcast gave me a lot of really interesting context and gave me a lot of really cool thoughts about what I think the album will be like. From the time in the podcast before Taylor announced the album, the way she talked about reclaiming her masters and the Eras Tour and just her re-recordings in general, she's had a lot going on in the last few years. She said in the podcast that these are some of the most formative years of her life, and I think something that she's really been enjoying is the stillness among the chaos. She was definitely able to appreciate that stillness a lot more after the Eras Tour and by being with Travis. The album tells the story of what she's experiencing behind the scenes after she's done being her on-stage presence Taylor Swift mega superstar, where she's just left in her own room, her own space by herself in every sense of the phrase. What she talks about in this album is not what we saw on the Eras Tour stage. It's not what we saw in the media in any capacity. It's just Taylor experiencing life as she is, and I think it'll be a good restoration of humanity in her, especially with how much platforms like TikTok have seriously blown up Taylor and her music over the last couple of years. She describes the album as the end of her night, where she's done being bejeweled for the day and is just alone with herself. So with that said, the main thing I want to talk about in this video today is the color scheme of this album. We knew an orange-themed album was going to be coming eventually because it's one of the only colors that Taylor Swift hasn't made into an album yet, but I think that orange makes so much sense for this specific album. The orange combined with the teal makes the album's aesthetic look more like a lighter version of Midnight's. The color palettes are very similar to me, but the Life of a Showgirl palette feels more bright and colorful and sunrisey even than Midnight's, which obviously is about, nighttime. The specific significance of orange to me is the journey in which how she got to where she is now. So orange as a color itself is a mix of red and yellow. Take those two colors, you put them together. Red and yellow and adjacent colors of red and yellow are colors that have been talked about a lot in Taylor Swift's past albums. Red is an entire album name with a really great track title that also makes colors associate with experiences and feelings that Taylor has gone through. Losing him was blue like I've never known, missing him was dark gray all alone, loving him was red. Another version, I guess, of red is pink, which is a color that is heavily associated with Taylor's Lover album. Red and pink, in terms of Red and Lover as Taylor Swift albums, are very anxiety-riddled albums. They're full of love and passion and excitement, but with that, it's also paired with this insane, chaotic anxiety. The other color that makes orange is yellow. Yellow is a color that is talked about a little bit less throughout Taylor's discography, but I think the way it sticks out to me the most and how I think it relates to The Life of a Showgirl is that it's mentioned in the song Daylight. I once believed love would be black and white, but it's golden. I once believed love would be burning red, but it's golden like daylight. So the mix of these two feelings, of the burning red, the passion, the the chaos, the anxiety, the uncertainty, mixed with the golden, yellowy feeling of being truly loved and seen and heard. Take those two colors, mix them together, you get orange, which is the color for this album. And so I think this album is going to discuss a lot of the balance that Taylor has within her life of, I guess, work and life, her relationships with people, and how she wears her heart on her sleeve while also protecting herself, finding people that will bring out the best in her every single day, finding people who truly care about her and her well-being and don't just use her for clout or whatever. Orange is also very similar to warmer shades of brown, which is a very earthy and grounded color. Themes I think we're going to explore from this album, just simply based on the color, are stability and stillness, while also feeling excitement. It's just an accumulation of a bunch of emotions at once and finding the balance of those emotions that makes you feel good in where you are with the people who you surround yourself with. The addition of the tealy blue in contrast with the orange does make sense to me with the vision of the album. It gives the sensation of contrast. Also, not to mention the fact that it's, again, color-wise, a much lighter version of Midnight's, but also it represents change, the teal. I am a Minecraft player, and the first thing that I thought of when I saw the teal and orange color scheme was the oxidation process of copper. It starts as an orangey brown color and then oxidizes into a teal blue color over the course of time. And that reflects change, and that reflects a lot of what Taylor spoke about in the podcast about being in it for the music and because she loves creating. No matter how much time passes and no matter how popular or famous Taylor and her music become, her humanity and her intentions haven't left her. She truly loves songwriting so much. It is her biggest passion. She cares about her work so much that nothing else around her that anybody else says matters. She talked a lot about living in the present and spending more time with loved ones, especially her family, on the podcast, and I think the point of the flashy contrast in color in the album's color scheme and the Showgirl concept is meant to be ironic to me in a little bit of an anti-hero, I can do it with a broken heart kind of way. Something else that Taylor said that stuck with me a lot during the podcast was that the Eras Tour was the most formative time of her life. It makes a lot of sense because she went through hell and back, clearly, during the course of the Eras Tour. As fans, we all see her eras through mostly her music and whatever other bits and pieces of her life that she chooses to share with us. And even with how deep her lyrics are, it's still very surface level and easy to see those times of her life within each album era on more of an even playing field in terms of impact in the long run. Life has its ups and downs, it has its chaos and its stillness, as I've been saying, and it's so much more nuanced than celebrities in general are perceived to be, being, you know, like famous and all. She was putting on a show demonstrating the last 20-ish years of music every single weekend in a beautiful encapsulation of how we've known her to be, and yet it feels like we've barely scratched the surface. We barely know Taylor, and as someone who doesn't feel parasocial towards Taylor Swift, I am completely fine with that. We are so lucky to know Taylor as much as we do and be able to enjoy years and years and years and years of incredible music that she's made. But at the same time, it's also her job. She loves songwriting, but it is her job. Music and being there for us is her job. She's a person with a life and family and friends and hobbies and things outside of the music industry. And I think a lot of people, especially the TikTok Swifties, fail to see that. It's about damn time people started respecting that. She doesn't want to feel like she has to hide. She wants to be bejeweled. She wants to be showcased. She wants to grow and see herself do really cool things and surround herself with people who support her in all these things that she does. But when she becomes famous like this, and people, I don't know, show up to places like Jack Antonoff's wedding simply just because she's there, it's really hard to be able to do that. She's always, like, on the forefront of people's minds. People will do crazy things to just be able to look at her, see her in any capacity, and it's really fucking scary, I can imagine. I will never know what that's like, but it must be the most anxiety-inducing thing in the world. I really admire Taylor's work-life balance, though, and I hope she continues to prioritize herself and what she's passionate about, which is songwriting and making music. So those are mostly, like, my predictions for the album. I really, really think that it's mostly just going to be Taylor talking from a very raw, deep, emotional place, and I'm really looking forward to it. Imagine I'm just totally wrong. I guess we'll find out on Friday. The last thing I want to talk about today are the silly little wish list things that I want to get out of this album, or things that I hope she put on the album. I really want it to be a good mix of breakup songs and love songs. Taylor Swift is clearly in a much better, happier, healthier place now than she was when she wrote The Tortured Poets Department and Midnights and her previous albums in general, but I still want her to put out songs that depress me and that read me like a book in the worst way possible, while also giving me happy songs. I really hope there's a song on there about reclaiming her masters, although I'm not sure that happened along the correct timeline. I don't know when she obviously finished writing the album, but it may have been before she reclaimed her masters officially, so I don't know if there's gonna be a song about that, but I really, really hope she puts out a song that emphasizes the importance of songwriting as an artistic medium for her. I would love to see a sourdough or like an otters reference after the podcast. I hope that she says the word cunt or cunty in this album at least once. I want one song on this album to be noticeably more horny than the others, but in a tasteful kind of way, like Juno by Sabrina Carpenter a little bit. And lastly, I wonder what track 11 being Honey is going to be like. I hope that it's a callback to her song Karma. Karma is also track 11 on its respective album Midnights, and has the line within the song Sweet Like Honey in the chorus. So I really wonder and low-key hope that Honey as track 11 on this album is a tie back to Midnights, because that is also one of my favorite albums. Sonically speaking, I think this album is going to be a pretty good combination of like 1989 lover, midnightsy kind of, while also having that like folklore Evermore Tortured Poets Department lyricism. And I think those combinations of things are going to make this album truly so spectacular. I'm really, really excited to see the album, listen to it for the first time. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video out of it, actually. I think that would be so much fun. Yeah, stay tuned. Maybe that'll be a YouTube video in the future. But that is it for this video, because I don't really know how else to predict. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. Again, my new upload schedule that I'm committing to is the 8th, the 18th, and the 28th of every month. Be sure to follow me on my other socials. I'll have the links in the descriptions down below. I stream on Twitch 3 to 5 days a week. I listen to a lot of Taylor and other Taylor-adjacent artists on stream while I play my favorite cozy video games, so if those things sound like they are up your alley, then you should come watch. You should come hang out with us. We have a great time. That's all I can think of. If you made it to this part of the video, comment down below the track that you are most excited to hear on this album. I think mine is probably still Honey. Also, Ruin the Friendship I'm really excited for. I hope that's a love song about crossing over from the platonic feeling with a friend into a more romantic or even sexual experience with somebody, and I guess like ruining the friendship in a positive way by like becoming something more with somebody, and that being really, really cool. I really hope that's what Ruin the Friendship is about, and not like an actual like diss track, you know? But yeah, I hope you do something nice for yourself today and do something nice for somebody else, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!